Hey, how's it going, everybody? So today I'm going to be trying to beat Mirror's Edge Catalyst without buying a single skill. So I can't get any combat skills, no damage upgrades, no gear unless it's handed to me, and no movement upgrades. So this means I won't be able to use half of the moves in the game. I won't be able to do certain vaults. I won't be able to combat roll after landing. So if I drop from too high, I'm just dead. So, we'll see if it's even possible. Let's get it. I load up a brand new fresh save file and load in. It starts with us having a flashback from when we were a kid before waking up in jail. After we get escorted out by a guard, I head down this passage, and then I get pulled to the side by this guy who opens the door. Turns out this is Icarus, and Noah sent him to help me. So, I end up doing the first parkour of the game, which is super easy. You basically just jump up these walls here. After running around the city for a little bit, I end up being spotted by a drone, so I take off down this passage and end up coming against the very first enemy of the game. Now, these guys are incredibly easy. This is the Guardian, and they are light melee. All they really have is a baton, and you can just spam light attacks on them. It's super easy. So, after taking them out with zero troubles, I run into the next area. I make my way through this abandoned building, do some balancing, some wall running, and eventually I get to this spot where a chopper sees me. I have no choice left but to run, so I book it through this door. And you can see here, I stumble when I fall from these heights because I don't have a roll. And this is going to be a problem for the whole run because I'm never going to acquire it. But I take out a couple more guards, meet back up with Danger Boy here, and then I try to make this jump across two buildings and almost die, but luckily we made it. I end up fighting a couple more guards here, and then take a zipline across these two buildings to meet back up with Icarus again. He then runs a combat tutorial for us, and it's super easy. So after completing that real quick, we move on to the real deal, and I have to take out a couple more guys.
I'm inside.
After doing a bit more parkour and fighting some more bad guys, we make these guys hug, and after some brotherly love, they both go down. And then we end up meeting these guys, and these are the hardest enemies in the game. And he ends up punching us so hard we go flying about 50 feet back and fall off the edge. He thinks we're dead, so he ends up leaving the scene, but luckily we were able to hold on to the bottom of the rail. After leaving this area, we get our first glimpse of Glass City. I slide down this ramp ahead of us and onto this cushion below. And after this, I make my way back to the home base to see Noah. He's super glad to see us because it's been a long time. And he ends up giving us a mission, and that's to go see Birdman. So I pick up my gear, get my drip on fleek, and looking fly, we head back out to find him. It forces us to get this, and this is just the map. And since it actually has no effect on my combat capabilities or movement, and since it's a tutorial teaching you how, I don't count that as a skill. So we equip that, and now after having our map, we make our way towards Birdman. I knock on his door, but he surprises us by coming up from behind, and after meeting a pigeon, he tells us he has a mission for us, and that's to do a time trial. So that's exactly what I do. I head over to it, start it up, and then speed my way through it. I actually got turned around and went the wrong way, but eventually I ended up making it. I meet up with my buddy Josh, and he ends up giving me a courier task, which is to make some dead drops and pull some chips. And this is where we meet the Protector class for the first time. Now, these guys can't really be hit by normal melee attacks. You have to do heavy attacks, which are the kicks. And yeah, you just dodge around them and kick them till it's done.
Eyes on a possible breacher. You're where you shouldn't be.
After I kick him over the edge to his death, I end up pulling the chip, and this is phase 1 done. I then have to take out a couple more guys, but like I said, just rinse and repeat, dodge around them, make them hug each other, and finish up the job. I grab the next chip and head to the next combat encounter. This leads me to a whole group of guys, and I end up punching one off before attacking the other. The other one climbs back up, and so I finish the job by kicking him into a wall. I zipline over to the next spot, and I gotta kick this guy off the edge, but his buddy ends up kicking me off the edge for the double whammy, so I guess now I know what it feels like. I come back for revenge, and now I have to do a dead drop, so I have to run a package to another location. And you can do movement attacks, which doesn't really slow down your momentum. So I do a whole bunch of these, and eventually I get to the dead drop. And after dumping the package, I go back to Noah for my next mission. He sends me and Icarus out on a group mission, and he actually ends up aura farming for no reason. After this, I end up going through an open window and parkour my way through the office complex. I sneak my way under one of the walkways and ride an elevator past some guards. After venting like it's Among Us, I eventually get to the computer I needed to grab some data from. But I end up seeing an awesome looking ninja drop down, and I decide to follow him to see where he's going. We follow his trail and end up discovering a dead body on the ground next to a phone. We can see that he's hacking something, and it must be incredibly important, because when Kruger comes in with his assistants, he ends up pulling a sword and attempting to kill him. During the commotion, I decided to grab the phone that had the data he hacked in it, and I ran off with it. I then had to fight the corporation's new soldiers, which are the enforcers, and they actually have guns, so they can attack you at any range. And this is obviously not very good since we have no weapons, so the best bet is to rush these guys head on and kill them as fast as you can. I decided to do just that and break through some glass before going crazy on them. Eventually, I'm able to escape by ziplining out the building, and I actually narrowly avoid this chopper. But after this, I end up bringing the phone back to Noah to see what he wants to do with it. He ends up trying to decrypt it, and while I wait for him, I cause some mischief. Next mission has me taking out some KSEC relays, so take out the guards that are guarding it, which, I mean, I guess that's kind of their job, isn't it? Nevertheless, I clean up the last of the guards and rip out the relay's core, causing it to explode. I head back to Noah, and he cannot decrypt it, so I end up taking it to this chick called Plastic. And on the way, Icarus gives us some new tech, which is actually the grappling hook, which allows us to swing like Spider-Man through the city. You also start the game with an ability to hack electronics, so I hack this fan to turn it off. Eventually make my way to find Plastic. After meeting her, she sends me on a mission to hack some KSEC electronics, so I use my newfound grappling hook to make my way there. And eventually we make it to the facility, where I clean up a guard and activate the system. After this, I have to fight a whole bunch more guards, so I take them out quickly and efficiently. After sliding through the vents and sneakily making my way towards the next combat encounter, I quickly take him out and then activate the terminal. This is where we meet the second hardest enemy of the game, and that is the shock protector. Now, light attacks really can't do anything to them because they block them all, so you have to use heavy attacks exclusively on these guys. So I start off the fight with a jumping attack and get right in there. Quickly clean 2 of them up and then make 2 more hug before moving on to the others. Luckily we find an exit and zipline to safety. The next mission has us hacking a fan to get into another facility and climbing through the circuit breakers. I have to avoid these lasers, but it's relatively easy, and after doing this a couple times, I reach the spot where I need to be and activate the terminal. After this, I run outside and see a massive explosion.
Big explosion over here.
It's so big it actually knocks us off our feet, and after this, we're hunted, so I have to take down a whole bunch more KSEC who try to rush me from all sides. Luckily, I'm the combat master, so it isn't too hard to clean them up. And after this, I end up making my way back to Plastic. She found out the info on the phone is for a serum that makes people drones and not have free will. We then meet Dogen, who I owe a lot of money, and he sends us on another mission for him. This actually gives us a new piece of tech that lets us pull ourselves to grapple points. So we equip that, and this is where we come against our very first roadblock of the run. Now, this passage requires you to buy a certain ability, and if you don't have it, you can't make it up. So, I decided to wiggle my way around, and luckily get around a very inconvenient way, but end up grappling up to the next point, and immediately we run into another issue because it wants us to do the quick turn thing again. And I try kind of wiggling my way up, but I can't make it. I then try wall running on a different spot. That also didn't work. And I tried a bunch of times, probably about 15 minutes. And eventually, I somehow managed to lock onto that ledge and continued on. I took an elevator which helped us get way higher up on the building, and I ran to the top of this crane and admired the view. We were actually incredibly high, and to fall from this height, I don't even know how long it would take to hit the ground. But I turn around and continue on, and this is where we reach another roadblock. Once again, it wants us to use the quick turn, and the quick turn is going to be the most annoying thing in the entire game. I tried going up the bars on the right side, but that didn't work out very well for me, so I tried the left side, and that somehow worked out even worse because I ended up falling to my death. I also tried grappling and wall running over to it, but I ended up falling to my death again. After this, I tried jumping up to the pole again, and this time after some more patience, I was actually able to grab the ledge and pull myself up. I disabled the first support clamp, and again, it wanted us to use the quick turn. This one was actually really hard. I tried wall running up, but it was way too high for us. And after scrambling around, trying to wiggle my way out of it for a little bit, I don't know how. I don't know what I grabbed, but I grabbed onto something, and luckily this allowed us to make it up. And I spent like 20 minutes on that part. But I made it to the next support clamp, pulled it out, ran across the top of this way, and with the building falling down on us, grappled up. I disabled the last support clamp and destroyed the entire building. I then tried to escape before they sent any choppers after me. Almost died as the scaffolding fell down. Made my way down this pole onto some trash. After that heavy landing, I ended up ziplining down to escape fully. I ended up moving a crane so I could access a part of the city I couldn't before. And after making my way along it and into the next area, I found Icarus, who somehow got trapped inside of an electrified cage. So I made my way down to street level and found the box, and after deactivating it, it was free. I then made my way back up, and this is where I found an elevator that I could not climb up without using the quick turn. And I spent a good hour in this area just trying to get up there, trying everything I could, trying to wiggle my way onto it and hoping I'd get lucky. And eventually, I actually did. But unfortunately, after making it back up to the rooftops, we could see a whole bunch of KSEC heading towards our base. We heard a distress call from Noah saying that they were in trouble, and I raced the drones back to see what I could do. Unfortunately, I was too late, and they had ended up killing all of our buddies. We tried to find Noah, and I saw a body bag outside. So, unfortunately, after learning they had killed him and taken his body, I let out my rage on these KSEC. Eventually, I was able to make every last one of them pay for what they had done, but they sent in a sentinel after this. And these are the hardest guys in the game that we met earlier, and the last one defeated us with a single punch. So, I ended up climbing on top of these AC units and just jumping down on them. The only way you can really do any damage against these guys is with the heavy attacks, and they have insane lunge distance and they can stun lock you really easily. So I play super defensively and end up getting my ass beat, but eventually I'm able to turn the tide and I run away and get a couple more jumping attacks off on them. Luckily, we're able to defeat them, but as you can see, without any damage upgrades, it takes forever to kill one of these guys. Me and Icarus end up catching a guard and interrogating them to find out where they went, but a drone ends up finding us, so we have to leg it away. I run as fast as I can past these drones and end up hiding in a safe house to end up getting away from them. With our own base destroyed, we end up going to the sewers to hide out with Rebecca. I made it most of the way through the sewers without encountering any issues, but then I came to the point where I found another vault turn. And this was going to be really hard. I tried for over an hour in this spot, and eventually I tried grabbing a pole, but it wouldn't stick. I tried wall running, but I kept falling to my death. I even backtracked, but it didn't end up taking me where I wanted to go. I eventually thought to use the hand railing as a springboard, and it almost worked. And then I realized I could do it on the staircase. So after a couple of attempts, I actually managed to wall run and grab up on this pipe. I thought this was going to be a run killer, but luckily I made it, and I activated this button to open the door, which leads us to Rebecca's lair. We end up talking to her, and she says we can stay, but only if we work for her. So I make my way out the sewers and go to the mission she wants us to do. I tried climbing this, but once again, it wanted us to use the quick turn ability. And this one was really hard. I tried climbing up the sides, and it turns out you actually can wall run your way to a ledge and grab it. Unfortunately though, all this does is lead us to another quick turn spot. But luckily, if you wall run up this wall, you can actually grab the ladder. But once again, it leads us to a third quick turn spot. And I tried jumping around and wall running, trying the wiggle strat again, but I couldn't do it in either spot that I originally tried. But then I realized I could use a springboard at the other side of this room. So I run over to it, and this gets us up the first spot. But then it wants us to swing and do a quick turn off of this pole up here. And every time I try jump into it, it just flings me off the other side and I hit the ground pretty hard. Luckily though, I tried doing a reverse jump and was able to turn onto the railing behind me. Rebecca wants me to destroy a crate of drones, so I drop down and defeat a whole bunch of K-Sec on my way to destroy the crate. It's not too bad, I just use a whole bunch of my momentum attacks to keep my speed up. And after rushing through a dozen more guards, I end up making it to this doorway, and after I dash in, I realize it wants us to use another quick turn. I tried going up this gate, but it's impossible. I tried wall running onto this ledge, but you also can't reach it because it's too high. Then I accidentally discovered that I could climb onto this open door right here, and the neurons of my brain started firing, and I formulated a plan. I climbed on it, and after a few failed attempts, I managed to lock onto the ledge. After this, it was just a matter of jumping over the fence. Once again though, straight after this, it wants us to use another quick turn, which I'm obviously not going to do. I tried climbing, but it's too high, but eventually I just used a springboard, and I'm golden. I end up sliding down these vents, and pushing past a few more enemies on my way to find the crate. Luckily, if you keep your momentum up and use momentum attacks, it builds a focus shield, and this makes it to where bullets don't hit you. And so using this mechanic, I make it relatively easy towards the crate and push it off, destroying the drone. I then zipline away to safety and go meet back up with Rebecca. She tells me about her plan to kidnap a high-ranking K-Sec officer, and she ends up giving me a new piece of gear for my glove. And after picking it up and equipping it, I figure out that this actually allows me to pull obstacles down. So, now that I can pull ladders down and pull off debris, it gives us a lot more options for exploring the environment. Our mission is to create a distraction, so I try to destroy another building, but this one's guarded by turrets, and I end up trying to shut them down, but come up to another spot where it wants me to use quick turn. This one was actually really hard. I was stuck for a long time, and I tried everything I could think of before just wall running back, and this actually allowed me to grab a different ledge. So, after this, we ended up going to another quick turn spot, and this one was kind of tough. I thought I could cheese this one as well by using the railing as a springboard, but I couldn't get quite enough turning going on midair, so it didn't work. I then tried it from a different angle, and it did actually work, so I pull myself up and continue on. The victory was short-lived though, because we immediately come to another quick turn, and it was way too high to jump up to. I tried using the springboard, but ended up falling to my death, and eventually I backtracked the way we came and took a very different angle, and luckily it actually allowed me to wall run on this spot. So we skirted around that and dodged some more turrets before shutting them down. After we shut them down, we hop into a crane that Icarus is controlling, and he lifts us up to the next area.
If you ever tire of being a runner, you could
I jump from the crane and narrowly avoid falling to my death, but I pull myself up and continue on. I do a couple wall runs and eventually get to another quick turn spot. Man, I'm getting tired of these. Anyways, I tried wall running over to it, but it was too high. I then tried looking for a springboard, but I could not find any. I noticed the pipe up here and I tried grabbing it, but I ended up falling way too far. And I didn't think it was gonna be possible, but I accidentally wall ran onto it and stood up and realized I could just jump straight up here. So that obstacle overcame, we ended up hopping onto this crane here. And after kicking the lever, we end up destroying the building and moving on from this mission. We hitch a ride on the crane back to ground level and then meet back up with Rebecca to find out that they captured that K-Sec exec. We end up going back to our home base that they have taken over, and I beat up a whole bunch of K-Sec. Combat is definitely getting a lot harder just because the sheer quantity of enemies it throws at me at once. And I have no damage upgrades or combat upgrades, so it's really tough to kill them. But after this, I meet back up with the prisoner and find out she's my sister. I bribe her to tell me where they took the prisoners that they captured from our base, and she sends me out to find them. I had some trouble with this spot, but luckily I used the wiggle method to get up instead of using the quick turn. I then get to the next part of the city that I haven't explored yet. I made my way along the rooftops and followed the guiding line to the spot where it wanted me to go for the mission. But once I got there, I found out that we needed to use the quick turn skill again. And I tried everything I could possibly think of. I tried the wiggle method, I tried wall running, I tried just normally jumping, but it was way too high, and I actually had to backtrack because it was impossible. I then set a marker to a safe house that was on the other side of these buildings, and decided to try to make my way all the way around. So, after making my way all the way around, luckily, I found out that it was actually possible, and I end up making it to the mission marker. I make my way down an elevator shaft, and after doing this, we head towards the next spot, which wants us to use a quick turn, but I'm smart, so I use this as a springboard. And after this, we end up going through a fan that we disrupt. I end up overshooting it massively, though, and falling to my death. Oopsie. Luckily, though, I end up crawling through the vents and making it to the terminal we need. And after activating, it gives us the info we need to find the prisoners, and I go to make my way out. Now, heartbreakingly, this is where I find a spot that I need to use another quick turn, and I was literally stuck here for 3 hours. I tried everything I could. I tried for 3 awful long hours. I tried using these as springboards. I tried climbing up the wall. I tried wall running. I tried everything, and sadly I came to the conclusion, no, it is not possible to beat Mirror's Edge Catalyst without buying a skill. So, now it becomes the question of how many skills do you need to beat the game? So I buy Quick Turn with a pain in my heart, and after spawning back in, we use it to instantly get up, and then now we just have to wait for a train, and we kill a whole bunch of enemies. Before hopping on a train to my escape. Luckily, the train speeds out of there and we're unharmed. But when I make it back to the base, Rebecca's about to execute the hostage. No one knows she's my sister, so I run up and throw myself in front of her. Luckily, this discourages them from killing her, and they let her live. After this, I head back towards the prisoners, and on my way, I take out a few unlucky guards. This leads me to an area that's dimly lit, so you know you're in bad guy territory. After this, I end up finding the prisoners and disengage the lock, freeing all of them. I kill a few enemies, and after this, I find Noah strapped to a table, barely alive. I rush in to try to save him, but it's too late. They've already ran the poison through his veins, and after scaring off the doctor, I try to take matters into my own hands, but he's too far gone. Sadly, he dies in my arms, but we don't have time to grieve because the prisoners bust back in, and they need help. I tell them to leave, and I take matters into my own hands as I push them out and fight the guards. I go to take the gunners out first so they can't shoot me down from range, and after killing them, I turn to the guardians. Easy enough to kill, and then I rush out the building, kill another guy on my way out, watch him fall over the railing, and then take off. I climb up an elevator to get to the surface, and then rush back to the sewers to find Rebecca. I tell Icarus the bad news, and we grieve for just a little bit before I go to Dogan and tell him I can't do it. He calls me a little bitch, and I obviously can't take that, so I stand up and get to work. I go through this awesome looking facility and take out a few guards, which is relatively easy at this point. I'm super good at just traversing and using the quick attacks. So I kill as many as I can, and after this I move on. I take an elevator up to the top floor and find Kruger's computer. I hack it, but it's a trap. He ends up letting me know he knows exactly where I am, and then I have to outrun K-Sec. I run off the roof and grab hold of a drone, hoping that I can make my way to safety. I really don't know what I was thinking here, but I really didn't have any other options, so I careened towards the ground at Mach 10, but luckily, we readjusted, did a sick little wall run, and then we were safe. I take the drive with the hack to plastic, and as I wait for her to hack it, I clean up some K-Sec around the city, but luckily, she finishes relatively quickly. And after this, I take a train to the final mission. I get T-boned by a sign, but I'm good. I'm good. And then we pull up to the after party. But no one's here to sip Bacardi. We're here to climb a massive building. And so, I look at the sheer size of this thing and get ready to scale it. We start off by running across this glass roof, and it's shattering because we got like a level 5 earthquake going on. But I use this lift to scale super high, and then I climb the pole the rest of the way up. I end up jumping over a fan and breaking into the first room with guards. Luckily, I shove straight past them and then jump onto this giant windmill, and I end up using my grapple to grab it and just go flying.
Should be able to drive one from the side. Use the mag to attach to it and just...
This is great.
After this crazy launch, we end up saving ourselves, pulling ourselves up onto the bridge, and getting in a crazy combat encounter with these guys who just dropped in off a helicopter. I sprinted full speed at him, and I knew I could just launch him. So, we kicked this guy over the edge. His buddy tried getting in on the action, so I did it to him as well. See you. I then scaled the elevator shaft that was falling apart from within. So I dodged a whole bunch of debris and leapt to each bar to escape. I then got to this beautiful area with a tree in the middle, and I admired nature for a little bit before moving on. Climbed onto the lift and rode it up until I reached a vent. And after climbing through there, another elevator. This time I was getting shot at though, so that was crazy. Then got to a spot where I just ziplined up a whole bunch. A whole bunch. I'm talking I ziplined probably like 49 stories. I then had to cross this balance bar when I was like 2 million feet up, and this brought me to another turbine, which I grabbed a hold of. This one flung me even higher than the first one and actually launched me straight through a window to Aura Farm. It looked pretty sick, and after this, I just ran through the facility until I ended up turning a corner to find a whole squad. And so, I did what had to be done.
Oh, well, plastic. I need. Oh, well, plastic. I need those doors open. Now. There's cases everywhere.
I somehow managed to survive the assault and climbed up one more elevator before grappling up to the very top of the building. I admired the view for just a little bit and realized just how high up I was. After this, I headed across the roof and into this office, and then I went to hack the terminal. But as soon as I activated it, Kruger walked in with 2 of the hardest enemies in the entire game. Now, he sent these guys after me, and this actually was incredibly hard. I died multiple times. If we were doing a normal playthrough and we had all the damage upgrades, this would be a piece of cake. But you can barely even see the damage we do to these guys, and there's 2 of them. So I try to kite them around, but they can Superman punch me through railings. And sometimes I just get stun locked by them, as you see right here. It's just insane, dude. You get stun locked, there's nothing you can do, and you just end up dying like me. But after a couple attempts and a couple more deaths, I found out the best strategy is just to try to get them split up and then just spam jumping attacks and sidekicks while dodging. A lot of the time, you can get them to run into each other, and this pretty much does the most damage out of anything. So, you just run around, avoid them, get kicked in the face 50 times like I did, and then kick them into each other. And eventually, this pays off as I spam him into a wall. He almost finishes me off, but luckily I'm able to kill him. Kruger tries to stop the download, but I rush him and tackle him, and then he pulls out a baton and tries to get hands-on. Luckily though, he's not a ninjutsu master like me, and I know way more parkour moves, so I disable him, and I go in for the kill, but right as I do, I see the reflection of my sister behind me, and I can't do it. She ends up running away, and I chase her down, and after this, we end up falling pretty far. Don't ask me how we survived that because I have no clue. But we end up finding my sister, and she says she hates me for abandoning her, and we have a crazy fight. Eventually though, Kruger pulls up and tries to stop it. He tells my sister to jump in, and I try to tell her she doesn't have to listen to him and she has free will. But the whole place starts crumbling down, and he ends up getting knocked out of the chopper and falling to his death. Screw that guy though, who cares? We do care about me though, and unfortunately I slipped towards the edge, but luckily my sister comes around and saves us. And the game ends with us staring off into the distance and watching our sister fly away. And with that, we know it's possible to beat Mirror's Edge Catalyst with only a single skill bot. Sadly, it's not zero. I wish we could have done a no skills run, and I actually went into this after not playing the game in like 8 years, so I wasn't sure it was even possible, but to find out you can do it with a single skill is pretty cool to me. Somebody let me know if on PC or something there's some kind of exploit that allows you not to have to buy it. That'd be pretty cool if you could on PC, but on console, you have to buy a skill. Anyways, thank you guys for sticking around so long. That's really cool. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the video. If you did like it, end up liking it. If you didn't like it, dislike it. And subscribe if you want more. I do challenges every 1 or 2 weeks. Depends on how long it takes me to make. But with all that being said, appreciate you guys. Bye.